everybody, I'm Jason, and if you're new to the channel, this is Overly Equipment, and I like to work on old tractors, Fords and Jacobsens in particular. And what we have behind me here is a 1976 Jacobsen GT12, and we're going to replace a hydraulic lift cylinder on it. And these never came with a hydraulic lift cylinder; it was always a manual lift. Well, a few years back, I really liked this tractor, and I decided I want to put a hydraulic lift cylinder on it because I had it because of the business. And well, we used it for about a whole half of a snowfall there last year before it decided to let go because it wasn't happy. Now, it was one of the smaller, earlier lift cylinders for these types of tractors. It was only 1.5 inches, I do believe, piston or whatever. So I actually ordered off the interwebs this guy. Now, I got this guy from, it's a Chief WP 3000 PSI, 1.5 bore, 4-inch stroke, 1-inch rod end. So it's basically the same thing. I guess it is 1.5 inches. They did make a 2-inch for the later on, but it still had that 1-inch rod end, which should work out pretty nice. I know I'm going to have to modify something on the tractor on the end to get that pin to slide, but let's hope this ain't too much modification we can do, because I did a lot of measuring and research on this. So hopefully, without major complications, we can maybe finally find a suitable replacement for these machines. I think this was $100. And to send the other ones all out, you know, you have to take them out and send them out to the machine shop and a hydraulic shop too, because they would have to cut, just like this one, you have to cut the back end off of it, rebuild it, put it together, and weld it back together. So the hydraulic / machine shop really has to know what they're doing to do these. They're not serviceable, much like this one's not serviceable either. Serviceable would be there'd be a snap ring at this end and all the guts would come out this end. But it doesn't. It comes out this way and it gets welded. So let's give her a shot and let's dive in. Stay tuned. Okay, well the microphone wasn't on for that first part. Now it is. So I took the set screw out here of the bell crank, and naturally when I went to pull the Carter pin out, it broke. So I smooshed it in with a punch as best as I could. And now I'm just gonna run a drill bit right up through it. And I'll just drill it out. I'll drill the Carter pin out best I can and then see if I can't pull it up from the top. Not the ideal way, but it does work. I've done it before. Sometimes that's all you need to drill it and pull it and drill it and pull it, and that's all you need. Sometimes, not all the time. I got one of them, I believe. Let's see if I can't get a punch up in there and maybe drive the whole thing out of there. Let's see, let's hope. Let's hope. Ouch. Better watch your head too. Not that, it drove it right out. Get that back out of there without it breaking. We'll be in good shape. All right. What's next? Let's see. Almost. Almost. Need a longer punch, I guess. They don't make it easy, do they? But I guess that's what makes it fun, right? Whew. All right, I'll show you what I'm fighting. Good Lord. Alright, so if you can see, let me zoom out here. As you can see, maybe not. There's a Carter pin up underneath here where my finger's at, and it goes in this way. You can see the hole I drilled, so it's up here you can see, and I got to get that Carter pin all the way out. Problem is, you can't get tools in there without tearing half of everything apart. So, alright, I want to keep fooling with this, and then once I get it out, we'll resume this video. Okay, so I did get that pin up out of there, that Carter pin. So eventually it broke off the top. I ran a drill bit, another drill bit all the way through, broke the drill bit, and then I took a punch and took that out. So under further investigation, this thing is not going to want to go over like I want it to actually technically do it correctly. So you would slide this whole thing over, beat your living brains out with hammers, pry bars, whatever. Porta power would be real nice. I don't have one. I have to borrow one from work. But even regardless, this here pin here is way too small and not long enough for my new cylinder. So, because this will go up top with that bushing into the, we still got to get that thing over, but at least if I can get it down out, I can put that on, swing it back up into place, and then put this through. Well, the problem is this is too long, and I don't really have no room to cut it. So what I figured I could do is, if you look right there where that's at, I can cut that pin and drill that out, or actually if I cut it, I can drive that pin out that's welded on this side. And then I can just put a long bolt in there after I swing it back. I can put a long bolt up in here, I'm sorry. I can cut this here, get this pin out of the way, and I'll put a real long bolt in. Once this swings down out of the way, I can put my cylinder on. It'll give me enough room here with the frame, and then I can swing it back up into place, put it into place, and then run a bolt in there. And I can run a bolt and double nut it, or however I see fit to get that up in there. So we'll cross that right as we get there, because you don't want it tight. But yeah, the joys of working on a old tractor. Good times, good times. Yep, just like I planned. So there you go. If you want to do it that way, do it that way. And then we'll put a new bolt in that. Then I wouldn't have to fool around with that Allen key, or that Carter pin. Oh well, live and learn. Yahtzee! All right. Well, that actually went a lot better than I anticipated. So I'm not complaining. So now, let's do some trial and error guesswork with that cylinder. I know I'm going to have to get a bushing for that. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. I have to get a bushing. Yeah, it's a little sloppy. But the point is we're going to do this. I don't know if you can see. The point, I think it's going to work out well. I really do. So we're going to put that in there. If I can find a bushing, and then run a bolt in through there, and then we are done. And we'll hook her back up. I think that's going to work out just nice. I really do. All right. So let me. Hopefully you guys seen. Did you guys even see what I was talking about? Probably. Move my camera. So there we go. Yeah, that's going to work out nice. That really is. All right. So without further ado, that'll go like that. Push up. Bolt in. Nice. That is going to be nice. All right, guys. Stay tuned till I find a bushing. There it goes. Nice. All right, got the bushing on. Put our cylinder on. Perfect. Get a little Carter pin. I'll put the Carter pin in here. And this guy should just go just like that. All right. All right. Now, make sure we're happy with all of this. That bolt goes in there like that. Is that going to be enough? To make it. Let's hope. So, back to there. That's all thready fine in there. But I run that through. Looks like I got that a little cockeyed there when I drilled and tapped that. Probably because of the couldn't get it in there straight, so tweak it this way a little bit. Yay! Sometimes you got to make adjustments. Hoping I may have to pull and get all this. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. There's all kinds of when they powder coat it. There's all kinds of powder coat in here. All right, hold on. Let me clean up that hole and get the powder coat out. Be happy when I get this all cleaned up. Anyhow, all right. So we got our hole all hogged out. Got all that powder coat out of there. No, my bolt's probably longer than it needs to be, but probably good. And I don't think I'm going to have enough room to put a nut on the other side. I don't think it's going to let me. So we're going to run this thing all the way and bottom it out into the frame. I don't think it's actually going to move and vibrate that much. If it does, I'll drill a hole and maybe a harder pin up here. At least it's easy to, it'll almost work like a set screw at this point. Once I hit the frame up the tube on the other side, I'll show you as soon as I get it tightened up. I don't think it's going to go nowhere. Okay. I don't think it's going to go nowhere. Could have got a smaller bolt, I guess, but that works. So, here's what we come up with. So, that should work. So I got my bolt through and I threaded that. So we should be good. And then that all works, all happy, hunky-dory up there. So we should be good. So I guess we're going to hook up the hydraulic lines, hook them back up, and hook those all back up. Let's hook the hydraulic lines all up and lower it, put some oil in it. I'm sure the oils needs some oil. So it has a grease fitting too. That's cool. So let me get we'll get these hydraulic lines hooked up and continue on. Sorry, I forgot to hit the record button. I have an 11/16 here. Also, on that rock, that belt crank, what I was talking about, that shaft with the brackets on it for this, there's a keyway in there, and that's how it slides on. So once you remove that Allen key, that Carter key, a Carter pin, I mean, that I was having such a problem with, once you remove that and that set screw, it slides. But like I said, we didn't do that because this was easier, because we knew we were going to have to. So you don't have to worry about that either. Even though I am going to put that back in. I do want to put that back in. That set screw and the correct and that carver pin. So I do want to do that. So regardless, we still want to do that. So we're going to do it. Actually, I do. How about that? How about that? So, do I put it down through and make it easy to drive back out? Yes. So this way, the next feller, probably me, so the next feller ain't fighting. It's easier to drive it out with a punch than it is to pull it out when they get all that shit in there. So, there's that. Okay. Head on. Okay, so that should be ready to go. So, cylinders in, carriage back up. Looks pretty good. All right, so let's get this thing down off the lip, cleaned up, and get some oil in this girl and try it out. Well, I do like it. It works. I just noticed a problem with the hydraulic line. I don't want it. I want to pull it out of the way. Didn't want to do it while I was in there. It looks like I'm going to have to put a new hydraulic line on there. I don't want it getting pinched. The only problem I can see, other than that, it worked beautiful. No leaks. Works up and down. Let me get it back in here. I want to make sure none of that them lines get pinched. Since this cylinder's a little different, I guess. Okay, this is what I was talking about. See this line right here? Well, it was pinched, so I zip tied the hydraulic line up around the cylinder, and now it don't hit. That's what I was worried about. This has a bung welded onto it, this hydraulic cylinder, compared to the old one. So it sat down lower, so that's why. Other than that, I'd say this is going to be a successful project. So let's get this thing lowered and get the snow blower on it, get it hooked up, and we'll be ready to blow snow. And I'm hoping that me doing all the spraying, getting it ready, because the snow one flake this winter, and that'd be okay. Okay, my bad for not filming that. So, as you see, we got this bracket on, the whole gearbox assembly there. That's all on there. So, you take this pin, this rod out, so it disconnects the blower head from that frame. Flop that over, pull that out, makes life easier after you get that in. Push the tractor in, slide that back down. Now all you have to do is connect these guys. I left that one connected and pulled the pin on the other side just because of that drive shaft. And I already started the drive shaft too, so all I got to do is slide it over and put the bolt back in. So there's that side. I took the roll pin out, and that'll slide on there too. So let's see if I can film doing this just the correct way. Well, Houston, we have a problem. And as you can see, it's all the way down, but it's not all the way down. So the valve's all the way down, but she's still 2 inches off the concrete. So that means that stroke on that thing is probably no good. So it's probably too short. Now, can I modify a bracket? Maybe, but more than likely I'm going to have to search for, I can't remember where I got that. I bought that lift cylinder like 2-3 years ago for another project that's been sitting on the shelf. It was actually I was going to make it for 3-point hitch lift or whatever. And I said, well, let me see if that works. It's pretty close. So this is going to wrap this video up. I'm tired, frustrated with it. Wrestling that snowblower on. Now I've got to wrestle it back off. So until again, if you like the videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that share button. I do appreciate it. So we're going to have to finish this project up at another time, and I'm going to have to regroup and figure out what we can do. Until then, all right, guys, see you on the next one. Thanks.